One thing I highly recommend is actually blowing out the holes where the bolts go through. You got one here, and one here. The one in the middle, as you can see, has got some fluid in it now. I need to blow that out so there's no fluid in there. What happens is when we take the solenoid pack loose, some of the passages right here, the fluid starts to run this way and they start getting in the holes. What happens is the fluid has nowhere to go once it's in here, and if I go to try to put a bolt in there and tighten down, I'm going to actually probably more than likely crack the transmission case because that fluid's not going to compress, and what's going to happen is something's going to crack. So blow out your passages, these three right here, and once you get them blown out, we'll get ready to start putting that solenoid pack on. Now if you look really close, you see there's a difference between the three bolt holes. The one on the far right here is just a threaded hole. The one in the middle and the one on the left actually has a step down built into it. And the step down is actually a dowel that will go in there that's on the solenoid pack. So you got two dowels on here. Now the solenoid packs come with three dowels. I'm not sure exactly why. What I've done over the years is I take the third dowel out of the solenoid pack. That way I have a better chance of lining everything up because these dowels will start getting seated. And as I tighten everything down, they'll compress like they're supposed to. That way I don't have a third one interfering with me trying to line everything up. So I take the dowel out of the solenoid pack on this side, and these two will be there to help line it up. Here's our replacement solenoid pack. This is how it sits on the vehicle. You got your holes for your 3 10mm bolts, and there's where the electrical connector went that had the 8mm going through it. Here's the bottom side, and on the bottom side, like I said, you'll see a total of 3 dowels here. That's actually where the bolts come through. And like I said, this one right here I never use. I take it out because the transmission has a larger hole for these two, but not that one. And I don't want no interference trying to line everything up because I can line these dowels up and make sure this is properly squared up and snug it down. This one gives me a little interference, so I always take it off. I can use a pair of pliers, grab it, start rotating, it comes out. It's not needed. And of course we got our new gasket. What I'll do is once I get that dowel off, I'll put the gasket on the solenoid pack, just like I am here, and then I'll install it sitting down, bolt it up. Alright, so I'll go ahead and work on getting the solenoid pack down in there. I've already cleaned everything off, everything's looking good. Get close to where I can move it around, and I feel the alignment dowel pins go into the holes. Awesome. Now I can go ahead and insert the 3 10mm bolts. And what I'm going to do for right now is I'm just going to run them down gently with an electric drill, or you do them by hand, and then I will come back and I will torque them once I'm done, and I will give you a torque spec on that as well. Otherwise she's perfectly lined up. Now when I go to tighten it down, everything's going to line up beautifully. Alright, for those who need torque specs, I've got torque specs for you. Solenoid pack, those 3 10mm we just installed, those need to be 106 inch-pounds. Let me repeat, 106 inch-pounds for the solenoid pack. Now when we go ahead to reinstall the input speed sensor, we're going to go ahead and torque that down, if you want to torque it, down to 20 foot-pounds. That's 20 foot-pounds on the input speed sensor. There's your torque specs. So we've got the solenoid pack torqued back down to where it's supposed to be. We've also got the input speed sensor torqued as it needs to be. Now the only thing we got to worry about now is the electrical connectors for each one of those. Just plug those in and tighten down that 8mm for the solenoid pack connector. Then we just got to install the air filter box assembly. So everything's just the opposite of removal. There's nothing special at this point. Now you will need to check the transmission fluid once you get it up to operating temperature. And there's a procedure that I highly recommend if you've got a scanner, and that's called a quick learn. What is a quick learn? A quick learn is the transmission or engine controller's way of knowing the condition of the trans fluid. And based off of what it sees, that determines your shift points as well as how hard and soft it shifts. What it does, it goes through a test where it energizes the solenoid, and it wants to see a change in state, and it monitors how fast it takes. Based on that equation, it can tell what the consistency is of the transmission fluid, whether it's new fluid, old fluid. That way it can do a calculation on when to shift and how hard or how soft to shift, because you may find out sometimes, like when you do a trans service on a lot of these fully electronic transmissions, that afterwards you may get some hard shifts. Well, it's because it hasn't had the opportunity to have a quick learn done, so it can determine how hard or soft to make the shifts. So That is highly recommended. If you got a scanner to do it, awesome. If you don't, drive it and see what you think. I'd take it to a shop, transmission shop, or even the dealer to have the quick learn done. That's just me. That way I get a smooth shift afterwards and I don't have any problems. So there you have it, transmission solenoid pack replacement. You see what you need to do as far as cleaning, what you need to do to get to it. You saw specifically what's needed on a 2008 Avenger to get to it. Stuff like minivans, other vehicles, they're going to be a little bit different. Different components might be in the way. But fundamentally, once you get down to it, it's exactly the same. So just follow my steps I showed you. Make sure you blow everything off so that the dust and dirt don't fall down inside the transmission pan once you take the solenoid pack off, and make sure you torque everything properly. And then it's just a matter of checking your fluid. So at this point, I ask for any kind of thumbs up on YouTube. You can like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter, and check me out on Instagram as well. And if you got any questions or comments or suggestions, please feel free to email me at david@motorcitymechanic.com, and I'll try to get back to you in a timely manner. In the meantime, thanks for watching.